it's hard to bet against my homie. You can't bet against my homie, man. My homie is just showing you time and time again that he has a recipe for being able to win.
All right, family, back at it right here on the Shadow League locker room. And back again is my dog, former NFL linebacker, actor, and motivational speaker, Stevie Baggs Jr. Stevie, what up, though?
Man, grateful, brother. How you doing?
I'm blessed, man. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on, so we might as
Oh,
well
yeah.
just jump right into it, man. All right.
Let's do it.
All right, Super Bowl pick, man. You know, we saw what happened this weekend. We know who is going to the big game, and it's around the corner. So, who do you got taking home the trophy, man? You think it's the dynasty, or is it going to be Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think it's the dynasty, man. I mean,
Uh,
it's hard to bet against my homie. You can't bet against my homie, man. My homie is just showing you time and time again that he has a recipe for being able to win. And so until somebody can knock him off the throne and his team, I got to go with the Chiefs.
yeah, yeah. He's he's
Yeah.
he's, he's definitely entering rare air, man. And when you talk about that, if he wins another Super Bowl, you know, what I'm saying he will have that three-peat. And on the flip side, Jalen Hurts, you know, if he gets this one, he's going to be getting his first. So it may validate everything that Philly has built around him. Now, I've heard some criticism around Jalen Hurts. Whose legacy benefits more from winning this particular Super Bowl? Mahomes or Jalen Hurts?
I think it would benefit Jalen more. I mean, the three-peat is what it is, but they've already done something that a lot of teams haven't done by just going to the Super Bowl three times. But it's not like Mahomes needs another Super Bowl to validate where he is as a quarterback, right, in this league historically. So it would probably benefit Jalen more just to be able to win one, especially against a team like the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of criticism Jalen has been, you know, facing. You know, a lot of pressure to let that ball fly. You know, I've heard just rumblings. I should say that rumblings. So I'd like to see Jalen pull it off. It'll make things a lot more interesting. But like you said, Kansas City is definitely not to be played with. Um, let's take it to the great state of Texas, brother. Jerry Jones, man. This controversial coaching decision now. Brian Schottenheimer. We know that he is, you know, a son of Marty Schottenheimer, so he comes from legacy. He comes from a football family. You know, Marty Schottenheimer is like one of the eighth winningest coach in the league, or something like that. He's got a really nice stat around him, but they're calling him a career assistant. Okay, and they were also saying that the Cowboys had a chance to make a bold move. Perhaps they were talking about Deion Sanders. I didn't really see that happening. But do you see this as another yes man type of move for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, or do you think he can actually lead the Dallas Cowboys to some level of success?
At the onsite, the metrics would say that it's a yes man hire. I'm with you. I don't think Dion was ever coming. I thought that would have been a long shot. And if you really just think historically of the different coaches that you know the Cowboys have brought in, it's been people and coaches that they can control, and those that who Jerry and his team can't control, they tend to part ways. So I mean, let's face it. Jerry Jones. See, there go Jimmy Johnson is who I was thinking about. Uh,
Right.
I mean, if you talk about legacy, man, had Jimmy Johnson stayed in as a head coach and Jerry not letting his ego get in the way, you talk about a dynasty, man. I mean, all those guys were young. Emmett and Michael and Troy were young, and so they had a great thing going. But at the end of the day, the Brian Schottenheimer, he's to me, I think he's only in the league and in this position because of his father. You know what I mean? I don't think that he's done anything, alarming as a coach to say, hey man, we have to boost him up and give him a head coaching position. But I digress.
Hey man, nepotism will get you in the door, but that record's gonna keep you there, brother. So you
Yeah.
know, let's see what happens with this one, Steve.
Well, let's see
Um,
what let me tell you this: Cowboy Nation is not, has not been excited about it. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think that, I don't think that was necessarily. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. There's still a lot of questions around that one, but we gonna see, man. I mean, they need something to kind of give them a little umph, but right now it's not looking like it. Um, and speaking of that, we saw some tough losses with the Bills and of course the Ravens. You know what I mean? So Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. We know that they are a couple of the most gifted quarterbacks in the league. You know what I'm saying? But they came up short in the playoffs. Where do you think these losses put them? And are they still in that elite conversation, or are they gonna have to pause that until they can get, some more dubs under their belt in the playoffs?
Well, anytime you win an MVP in the NFL, you're in elite conversation, regardless whether or not you get a Super Bowl championship under your belt. But when you think about what Lamar Jackson has done, and okay, of course, I'm a Lamar fan, so I'm a little biased when it comes to Lamar. But of course, the Super Bowl championship for him would be creme de la creme. But he's still elite. I mean, he's probably going on his third MVP. That speaks volumes in and of itself. I only think there's been only a handful of people that have done that in the history of the league. So however many Super Bowls you have to win to be elite or considered to be a great quarterback is one thing, but to be an MVP just shows that, especially in the regular season, you've done what you needed to do in this league to be considered one of the greatest of all time. So I think that as far as Josh is concerned, I think it's kind of the same thing for Josh in a way, in a sense, because he's shown the propensity to be such an amazing talent in the league. And but if you can't just get over the hump in the playoffs, for some reason, a lot of the pundits just think that that just speaks to you not being a great quarterback. I don't agree. As somebody who played this game at the highest level, I don't agree that if you didn't win a championship or don't make it to the playoffs, that you're not great. That doesn't mean you're a great player. I mean, you got Dan Marino, and maybe it's because of the quarterback position and because they get to control the ball and they have so many opportunities with the ball in their hand. Maybe that's why. But I mean, he got a guy like Dan Marino who never won it, but he's
Yeah,
still considered to be one of the greatest quarterbacks in league
definitely.
history. So I
Yeah,
mean, I just look at it that way.
yeah.
Yeah,
I got that too.
Lamar and Josh will be fine, man.
Yeah,
They still young.
yeah.
With the technology and the way things are going now, barring injury, these guys got another at least another 7 to 10 years that they can potentially play in this game.
Right,
And who
right.
knows what can happen?
Yeah, I think Josh has come a long way in terms of in taking the Bills. You know what I'm saying? A long way, man. I mean, they're in these conversations now, and they got a strong team, man. So hopefully next year. I mean, I know no one wants to hear about next year when it was this year. That we were
Man.
looking for it to all happen, but man, they balled.
Yeah.
Um, so let's jump into this fair file, Stevie. And you already know what this is, man. We'll give you a take that's obviously out there, and if it's fair, then you're gonna call it. But if it's foul, you're gonna call that one too and tell us why. Pete Carroll. All right. So Pete Carroll lands in the city of sin, Las Vegas, right? And some folks are thinking that he could potentially turn the Raiders around. Your thoughts on that? Fair or foul? Is it a little too early to call, or how do you think he's going to match up in that particular environment?
It's kind of like the whole thing with having an old president, right? If you got an old president, man, somebody 80 years old running the country, 80 plus years old, you got to be like, okay, come on. Pete Carroll almost 80 years old, and it doesn't mean that he can't add value to an organization, maybe as a consultant or whatever. But I don't think the demand of the league and the culture of where the league is at right now is something that he's in alignment with. It can be just because of the generational gap. And listen, Pete Carroll is one of the coolest coaches that I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love his swag, I love his enthusiasm, but I don't think that Pete Carroll is going to get the job done. Now, one thing the league has done that I've seen, the league has taken a really, really made a really drastic change in the amount of black coaches, melanated coaches that they hire. But when you look at the amount of melanated quarterbacks that are starting in the league compared to coaches, then there's a little bit, you're like, okay, well, we still maybe have some work to do. So I don't know. I just think that there can't be a whole bunch of coaching options out there that are viable if you're hiring for the Cowboys a long time guy like Schottenheimer that's been an assistant, and then you have to go hire an elder like Pete Carroll to be your head coach. And then you have, because if you look at the youngest coach in the league, some of these coaches are in their 30s, and then you got like Pete Carroll that's almost 80 years old. Like something's going on here. So I don't know.
You
I
think it
don't.
was a
I
safe? It
think
was
it's.
a safe
I don't
hire.
think. I think it's foul. I think they should have done some more work to try to find a guy. But once again, the NFL is a copycat league. So if you have shown any amount of success in this league, they're going to continue to go with that because it's a safe shot. Like the
Right.
GM is not going to necessarily lose his job if Pete Carroll comes in there and stinks up the joint because he's like, man, well, he did it in Seattle. He
Yeah.
did it at USC. So
Yeah.
that's what the league is about in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
No doubt. Um, do you think on our next one, man, the narrative, man, is being pushed that the NFL they bend the rules for Patrick Mahomes to win? All right, that they tilt the calls his way to keep the dynasty going. Do you believe that that is the case? Is that fair or foul?
Listen, let me say this. I'm a conspiracy, quote unquote, theorist to a large degree. But some might argue. But to say that the rules are being bent for him, I don't know if that's true. I think the rules are bent for most quarterbacks. As a defensive end, outside linebacker, when I was in the league, we were complaining that man, we may as well play 2-hand touch with them. We may as well put a flag on them and pull their flag because you can't touch them without
Right,
having a penalty called on you.
right.
So I think that's just the nature of the game. They want to protect somebody who's making a $500 million. They want to protect that investment. But I think also for all the conspiracy theories out there concerning this topic, it ain't no conspiracy how that boy throws the ball. There's no conspiracy there. He's throwing the ball unbelievably. So all you got to do is look at the film.
Numbers
he
don't
is
lie.
not. He's not a joke, man. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think there may be a little bit of foul going on there if as far as people thinking that the refs are pulling for them for any kind of way. Listen, you had Jordan. He gets calls. LeBron gets calls or got calls. Yeah, you may get some calls, right? But I don't think it's going to be a thing where you swing in the game because you want the dynasty of the Chiefs. No,
right,
I don't think that.
right. No doubt.
Yeah.
I know, a little bit earlier we were talking about just Pete Carroll and the hires. Obviously, we've seen Aaron Glenn go to the Jets, but this NFL, the hiring trends, that we're seeing in terms of, filling these vacancies. Do you think it's good or bad for the culture in the league?
In what way? What do you mean? Is what good? Like,
Well, as you mentioned, with Pete Carroll, you feel like, hey, it's safe. He's older, but he has a name. He has a brand,
right?
and it's
Okay.
going maybe in that direction when you kind of go with names, or should they be looking for newer, fresher, faces that perhaps are getting these opportunities for the first time, maybe based on the fact that they've been working under some established programs, or they've come in and done some incredible things, what I'm saying, with some teams that we may not have anticipated getting a look.
No, I think it's fair to see the new faces coming in the league. I mean, change is inevitable, and if people don't want to want to adhere to that, then that's their problem. But you know, look at the amount of quarterback you almost had. Had Lamar won, you would have had four black quarterbacks, melanated quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. That would have been a first.
Yeah.
First time ever where the AFC and NFC championship game was all
Right.
black quarterback. Come on, man. So it's
Right.
like if people don't see the writing on the wall that this thing is changing and shifting, then once again, you got to go take a look in the mirror. But the league is not a league of hey, come on, we want to give everybody a new chance. Aaron Glenn wouldn't be there if he didn't play for the Jets at one point. And there's been a number of things that he's done to even get to a place where he's been a coordinator and he was a defensive back coach, and
Right.
so he worked his way there. But had he not been who he was as a player in the league, I don't think he would have even gotten the opportunity. Honestly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Man, Stevie, it's always a pleasure, bro. And you always give some real insight, man.